I'm going to call the meeting to order at 7:02.
It says extras.
And I'm going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, if you'd all stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I don't see any public with us tonight, so,
Appoint
Oh,
somebody to vote
I
for
guess-
Ann. We can
okay.
appoint John to it.
okay, I will, you can vote for Ray, and who else is an alternate at this point?
John's a member.
John-
Ray's an alternate.
Ray's an alternate.
Ray's-
Ann's a member.
So Ann's a member.
Ann's a member,
Oh, so,
So do you
okay.
want Lynn to vote for Ann?
Pardon me?
Do you want Lynn
Lynn to vote for Ann.
Yeah, she can vote for Ann, what about Ray? Is Ray?
Ray's an alternate.
Oh, okay, if you could, thank
no
you,
problem.
thank you. I should make a note of that. Okay, so the,
Oh, one thing before we start.
yes,
Kristen always reminds us, but we always forget. You need to definitely move these closer. Because I had a
Thank you.
very difficult time, even hearing me. And I got a big voice, so. Go ahead, get smile.
okay, with that, I'll ask if we want to, have a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting in May.
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Lynn, and we have a second by Paul. Okay, all in favor to approve the May minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I think that's 100%. Thank you. The minutes are approved. Thank you, John. Okay, with that, I'm going to move to town staff. And I had wanted sort of a quick update on the various water projects that are happening.
Sure.
And what stage they're at the moment.
I can certainly start with this, with the High Range Road St. Cobain portion, and then I'll turn it over to James for the Woodmont Sewer and the Old Dairy Road. So High Range Road, as you know, should be starting back up any day in terms of the construction with American Excavating heading out there. Like last year, they'd like to finish up their small projects first so they can give their undivided attention and just work straight through.
They have not started yet, though.
No, they have not started yet. They've been coming out and doing small things like prepping. They've been doing prep site work, but they haven't actually started the paving yet. So the paving you'll see next, and then then they'll start the construction heading north from Royal.
So all those trucks going up and down Hovey Road, for what then?
Hubby Road?
Yeah.
Hubby Road is not. That's not.
No, that's their destination. They go down the end, they take a left, they go where it's all blocked off and they're doing something.
They, they did do a leveling course on High Range Road yesterday.
This is High Range versus Heavy.
We're talking High Range right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Hubby is on the other side.
Well, that's the route the trucks take. That's what I'm saying.
They would,
Hubby's over by the highway.
Yeah.
yeah, so they would take High Range and they would end up in Litchfield at the pit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So those are the one. If you see trucks on Hubby, that's not related to the High Range Road project.
So where are they all going?
That might be for the water.
It might be for the, has to do with
for
the
the pump
sewer,
station.
the pump station
Oh, okay.
project. Yeah, so two separate projects.
I was wondering.
So, High Range Road is the St. Cobain portion, so if you're talking about the neighborhoods, that portion is being done, St. Cobain is going to complete that portion with Pennachuck. So that is not a project that we're going to be involved in the design, engineering, or money with. So St. Cobain is working straight with Pennachuck for that. So sometime within the next few months, Pennachuck will be start reaching out to homeowners, particularly to get surveys of the property so they can do the engineering for the services.
Just in curiosity, do we have sort of an oversight, that looks right or anything? Or do we
No,
just, okay.
we do not. Nope.
No.
So on the they'll be working with the town on the mains. Obviously, the mains that go under the streets, but on the individual services, they work directly with the homeowner.
Got it, thank you.
Yep. So this is about a 4-year construction project right now to finish out all those neighborhoods, to do all the homes in which water mains are going to be extended. They don't have a fixed order yet that they have settled on in terms of what streets and what neighborhoods in that western side go first. And so they're trying to finalize, excuse me, the timeline. It won't be any longer than the one that they originally proposed, which is the 2027 through 2030. There's just simply only so many linear feet of pipe that can go in a year, and particularly when they're doing the services as well. So Pennachuck is meeting with Saint-Gobain right now to finalize the details on that project and move forward with that, looking for shovels in the ground on that next in construction season 2027. So that's when that will start. They still have to go through all the engineering. If you're talking about the Saint-Gobain portion of the High Range Road main itself, we've already got that money in escrow. We've gotten Saint-Gobain's contribution. It's sitting in escrow with the rest of the funds for the project,
Okay.
so that we
And-
have an escrow. So
and
we
that
use
will
that
s-
same escrow account for the ARPA funds. And that's how we move, that's how we receive money from DES and then pay it back to Pennachuck, who then pays American Excavating.
Okay.
So we've already got that. So there's no waiting on that. That's done. All set.
The money's done, but we're waiting for it to start.
We're waiting for it to start. Yep. Last year we started the second week of July
Oh.
and still got through. So if you're thinking that it's behind schedule, it's not. It really is. We're in plenty of time to do this second piece. It's a little shorter. All the design engineering, all of that is done. It's
Okay.
just a matter of putting the shovels into the ground.
Okay.
I don't have nearly the detail that Kirsten does, but so Woodmont, the sewer project is actually going a little faster than expected, at least on Harvey Road. Hardy. The Bancroft segment is done. It's in gravel currently, and they're not going to pave it until after the settling period happens, so they can do their final round of testing. And then from there, they'll be able to pave out Bancroft, and then it'll sit for a year, and then they'll get in and do all the final restorations and overlays and whatnot. Getting over to Hardy, they are, the blasters are, I think, most of the way up the road, getting ready to hopscotch with the pipe crew and get over onto Pillsbury, nearby the pump station itself. And then the pipe crew is, they're working along at a reasonably okay pace. I think they are on the order of about 1,500 feet a week, or at least that's kind of what they're projecting. Some of the sewer is really deep. It's, 15, 18 feet deep, and it is a force main, which is kind of counterintuitive to what a force main is. And I think they have roughly 7,000 feet on Hardy Road to do. So you can kind of extrapolate the math, 1,500 feet a week divided by 7,000. Theoretically, we're 4 to 5 weeks out by the time they finish out the force main on Hardy. Then it just becomes a function of restoration on that road. That's not subject to the same testing parameters because it's not a gravity line, so that one should get paved relatively quick. And then getting over to the Pillsbury pump station, I think all the ledge for the pump station itself has been blasted. And then I don't know what their actual excavation intent is, but they're moving along at a pretty good clip. Next one up is Old Dairy. Sure.
This is my neighborhood. I had two people come to me with questions. The first was, are they opening up Hardy on weekends for non-abutter traffic?
Hardy should be open at the end of every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was open last weekend. I drove down it last
Yeah,
weekend.
used it.
If we could publicize that, I think it would be to your benefit. even if you want to make it conditional, unless there's a guy standing there that's telling you don't go, or,
Yeah, so the way the contract is structured, the road is generally fully open at the end of every day, including the weekends. So, you know, on Friday when they leave, they're not coming back till Monday, and the road is in fact open. I have received we have received a variety of questions, complaints, one saying the detour route stays posted almost the entire time, so people don't know if they can go that way or not. So that was something that needs to be addressed. And then the level of communication, not everybody goes to Facebook and not everybody goes to the website. Some people rely on old-fashioned mail, so we're stepping up our communications efforts, particularly in the people that directly abut the project. And then everybody else, and you know, there's a rather large area that's impacted outside in all the side neighborhoods. So that level of communication is that's pretty much isolated to the Facebook and the website, and however else that we can get the electronic communication out there.
so that's been publicized about
It's been,
weekends
yeah,
and
for quite some
after
time.
5 at night. Okay, great.
Both the website and the Facebook pages have the detour routes. They have the working days. I want to say they even have the duration, approximate duration identified, but I'm not certain on that one.
The DPW Facebook page is always the most up-to-date place for that information, though. They do a really excellent job, so if they're looking for up-to-date, of-the-moment information, even if you don't have a Facebook account, you can still go to the Londonderry DPW Facebook page. You don't have to have a Facebook account to view it. You have to have a Facebook account to interact with it, but to view it, you don't. So highly suggest looking at that page.
And then the second question, somebody wanted a definition of abutters, because the detour sign says abutters may go, and I said, not you.
So abutting generally means on Hardy Road and on, you know, on the road where they're actually working. The abutting neighborhoods, I don't think qualify as abutters.
Enough said.
Is it possible to use that electronic signage that's there right now? It just says detour, you know, follow the signs, and it's all the time. And then people learn that, well, actually, you can get through there at night and on the weekends. So now they come in Wednesday midday, and I wonder if it's open. I mean, if we could have something, either two, you know, I don't know if the sign has the capability of switching twice a day.
It has the capability of multiple flashes, but I don't think you can have it with multiple programs. I'll have to look at that.
Or maybe
so-
just a thing that says Hardy Road closed 7 p.m. to Humpty Hump.
Yeah,
Weekdays.
absolutely. Yeah, so it should have 3 flashes, you know, Hardy Road closed, work hours 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., you know, see detour, you know. And
Yeah, that'd be good.
you generally want to try and get all of your information in as much as possible down to 2 flashes, because no one's standing there for all 3 flashes, because it's a couple seconds apiece, and by the time that second flash happens, you're done and gone, and you're past the signs. Don't even know what the third one says.
Actually, at that intersection, people have a lot of time.
Fair, if any of them, yeah.
So we try and get all the information into 2 flashes. But yeah, I'll look at that. Message boards they're an interesting animal in that people who drive the road all the time, as soon as the message board is there for longer than say a week, they blend into the landscape, and people don't see them. It's just an everyday thing. They don't even pay attention to it, and off they go. So one of the tactics that I've used in the past is I move the message board around. The message board shows up in different places. People pay attention to it, at least for a week. then you got to move it again, maybe back to the first spot. So it's just one of those things that get people to actually interact with the sign.
Yeah.
Is that true about Bancroft too, that it's open at night and on weekends?
There's no work going on in Baycroft. It's fully open.
Okay, it's fully open.
It's fully
just not
open, but
paved.
in gravel. for another couple of weeks until the settling period of the trench is done and they can do their final round of testing.
Okay.
Are they gonna fix all the potholes on Bancroft when they do the
They're gonna-
redecking? I mean, is it gonna be nice and smooth, cause it's,
Yeah, so they'll get,
Whole thing is nice
it'll be
and-
just like the water project where they get the trench paved, it'll sit for a year, and then and then next year, they'll go in and they'll do that final layer of pavement
Perfect.
or on the full width of the road.
thank you.
So think about Parmenter between Old Nashua, between 102 and Old Nashua, that stretch of Parmenter, that stretch is done and paved.
Got it.
Okay.
That wasn't able to sit last year because we had to use the ARPA funds for that, so that's why that part of the High Range Road water main is paved.
Okay,
Because that one particular section, the ARPA funds couldn't apply for. We couldn't use,
Couldn't delay.
we couldn't use state funds for, so we had to use ARPA funds for.
okay,
So that was a different format. Yeah.
okay.
But that's so like if you want to see what that end pavement looks like, that's what it'll look like.
Okay, and that normally would happen about a year after part of completion, the paving?
It's just a season, so it goes through the winter, the largest majority of settling that's going to happens over the course of the winter, and then you come back in the spring. Water table through the course of the winter into the spring comes up, goes back down. Everything that's settled has settled, and then they can get in there and do that final paving job. So, High Range Road over this last winter time, if you had been down there, you might have noticed a handful of irregularities, a couple of bumps here and there, that kind of stuff. And that's just some of the, expected normal settlement in a trench, and then they come back
Should
after the
probably
fact.
advertise that, otherwise we'll get that barrage of Facebook. Oh my God, what a terrible job they did, even though they're not.
We
done.
actually have had that.
A lot.
Yeah,
I know, I don't know how to say.
Yeah, and we have responded accordingly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there is something about how much information you can put out and when, right? Because like James said, people only digest so much. And so we're constantly in a what's the most important key thing? Like this road is going to be closed, please go away. That's important, right? Like don't go there.
yeah,
Things like the pavement settling, sometimes it's actually better to wait till somebody asks the question or even complains.
Yeah.
Because then you can say, that's a great question. This is actually going to plan and here's why. And then it kind of breaks it up into what people are interested in when in the project, and it kind of, as long as you have the answer and you provide the answer, some people will read an entire 30-page document. And so you have that available for somebody who wants to get the whole thing, right? That's the contract. But when you're parsing it out, you kind of want to go with what people are most interested in the moment to make sure that you're addressing that need. Because if you tell them at the beginning of the project, they're probably going to forget by the end.
right. And we have not been used to this much
Yes,
commotion.
it has been an
I mean,
exciting
this-
time in town.
This is good, though. I mean, it means,
Yeah.
it means things are getting fixed.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Or built.
So next up is Old Dairy. I believe they're in their final stages of that because they were finishing up that project before they came down to High Range. I actually haven't even been up to that project in a little bit, so I in truth don't even know how close to finish they are.
Can I
Can
just
say that-
ask
oh, go
a
ahead.
question on that one? Because I live right off Old Dairy. It's pretty much done. It's all paved over. The question I have is that it appears that the water main is going to provide water to the new developments in there. As you go up Old Dairy Road, there are a few new developments on the right-hand side. And there's only one road, which is right on the line between Dairy and Londonderry. And that's the Partridge Hill Estates in there. And there are a bunch of houses in there actually, which are all on private wells. But there are a few houses in there, I know of at least 3 to 5, that have received letters from DES for water contamination. So the question is, why isn't there a way to connect from that main Old Dairy water main into, if we've already done it for the new developments? And these people who are off on Old Dairy have actually been there longer.
So,
years or so. So they've been drinking contaminated water longer than the new developments.
so we aren't actually, the only main that's going in is on Old Dairy Road.
Right.
So we're not currently building mains down the side streets. In order for anybody down a side street to tap in, they have to attach to a main. Now, there is already a main running by that neighborhood. It comes from Derry. There's a main that runs down Old Derry Road as far as Clover.
Right.
So there's already a main there. And that the water already exists for 3/4 of Lorden Commons. That already is there. That's not being put in. The developer put it in for 3/4 of Lorden Commons when it was built. The first phase of Lorden Commons is on well water. So right now, there's no side streets right now, no neighborhoods as of this minute getting a main.
But then why did we put a main down Old Dairy if we're not gonna put it into where
So
people are
it's
living?
actually part of, we didn't do it, it's part of the Southern New Hampshire water system. And it's meant to increase connectivity and redundancy to bring water elsewhere in the state. So the homes along Old Dairy Road, they're putting curb stops so those homes can get service. The ones right on Old Dairy Road that didn't have it before. But it's part of a state project, not our project. And that's also what the pump station at Auburn, that's gonna go on at Auburn Road is part of as well. So that's the state connectivity project, the Southern New Hampshire Water System project.
Is there any way for us in Londonderry to encourage, since they've already got the water main down on Old Dairy Road? There aren't that many houses on Old Dairy Road
Yep.
itself.
Yep.
Whereas in those developments, there are quite a few houses.
Yes. So this isn't, but the point of this main is for the whole statewide system.
Right.
The point wasn't, this isn't a project that's addressing contamination. That isn't the point of the Southern New Hampshire Water System project. It isn't to extend water to additional residences on Old Dairy Road with PFAS. It's good if it does, but
Well,
that
that's what I'm
isn't.
saying. You could kill
the
two
point.
birds, sorry. I don't want to.
Oh, yeah, no, it's just extending a water main down a road is $1 million project minimum, right? So that's the catch, right?
Right.
We did put in an application with Senator Shaheen's office for that last quarter of Lorden Commons. The one that was initially built, and we can go into this more at a later date. It was moved on to Congress, and the reason that we prioritized that area based on the criteria that all of you developed, it's one of the worst, one of the highest levels of contamination outside the consent decree. We're talking levels of PFOA in the 50 and 60 range.
Oh, wow.
So it's those wells are extraordinarily contaminated. And it's also the densest neighborhood on that list of 12. So for the least amount of money, the most number of families can get clean water. So that's why that one went on this first round of applications, because of the extreme contamination, the number of potentially affected people, and basically the bang for the buck, for lack of a better term coming to my mind. But yeah, that's entirely separate. So the reason we could put in for that was because of the Old Dairy Road water project, but it's entirely separate from that. Old Dairy Road water project is just about creating that redundant water system with better movement into the rest of the state. So,
Yeah.
I definitely
just
understand.
odd.
Yeah.
It's odd because a lot of those houses have been up there, and people have been there, and there are a lot of kids and older folks in some of those neighborhoods, so that you have vulnerable populations. And they've actually been drinking the water even longer than the new people in the new developments, because the people in the new developments have more recently moved into those houses. So you have people who are in some of those older neighborhoods who have been drinking the water for a longer period of time.
Absolutely, I definitely understand that it would be lovely if we could do every neighborhood.
Sure would.
And there's a lot of, there's a lot of people in a lot of these neighborhoods that we would love to get to right away. This particular one is, that's part of the reason why that criteria was developed and approved by the council, was to make sure that just like the state has to make those excruciatingly painful decisions about what order where they give the money around the state, you know, when you're putting in for these funds, you have to make those decisions as well. And that's why that criteria that you all worked really, really hard on was really important in doing that at this point in time. And as we move through those, you know, we are hoping the faster we get through these projects, the more support that we can get for these projects, the faster we can get to the other neighborhoods. And that is the hope that we all have.
Do you have an idea when you might hear back from your application?
So we've heard back on both the one we put into Congressman Pappas's and Senator Sheen's offices. Both of them moved to congressional review.
Okay.
So that happens in the summer, usually they'll decide. We won't hear back till late summer, early fall about the success of those two applications, but we
Alright,
will.
So it's still out there as a possible,
It is, they both made it to the next step. I will say, like, don't make James and I worked hard on these, but it wasn't like 70 to 80% of them make it to the next step.
I understand.
And then I'm not sure how many make it through Congress. We've had success in the past. I think we have two very compelling, very tight applications for these two projects that we put in. So I think we have an excellent chance. But it's up to Congress now, and it's up to the subcommittee that deals with that.
Let's wait
So.
to hear.
So these are earmarks is what we're talking about, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yep. So the congressionally directed spending is what they developed. I want to say they started it in fiscal year 22, 21,
Yeah.
to kind of pull earmarks out of other bills and just lay them out so Congress can just ask for the money for their districts for these major projects without having to work them in elsewhere. And so that's what we've had success 3 of the 4 years we put things in. So
How much were you getting these 3 years? About?
4 million 1 year.
So material, for sure.
Yep, 4 million, that was for the Pillsbury pump station. 1.67 million for bringing water under 4A, which is a project that's in process or will be in process at some point. And then 2 million or 1.5 million, I'd have to double check because we haven't gotten the paperwork from it. That was awarded last year. That was from the Department of Transportation for Pettingill Road. But we're waiting to work its way down from DOT, from US DOT to New Hampshire DOT, and then it comes to us. So that's a trickle down. That one takes a little longer. But yeah, and that one's roads, not that's not utilities, that's roads. But so we've had success on those 3 projects. There's a project that was put in fiscal year 22 that did not get funded. We learned a lot from the applications from all those processes, so.
Who controlled the Southern New Hampshire water plan? Do you
State.
know? The state of New Hampshire did, okay.
Yep. So that's all from them.
Okay.
Just 2 quick updates on other. South Road, they're trucking along. They're down almost from South School down to the 40s, like the high 40s on South Road, and they're going down as far as 32 before it cuts through the woods. So they're doing a great job down there. They're making their way through. They've hit some ledge, so they're slowing down a little bit now, but they're still doing. I know you're going to get really sick of that phrase over your terms of service. They're hitting some ledge. Just get used to it now.
It's called the Granite State for a reason.
For a reason, yep. And then the other one is the Old Nashua Road project. They did finish the directional drill by the power lines. So they're finishing up that project. They're back working on that, and they're making good progress there. The directional drill by the power lines was the hardest part, so.
Okay. Very good. Anything else?
Not on that.
Madam
Okay.
Chair? I don't know if this is the right time to be asking the question, but I'm looking for an update on the strategic plan. And in particular, and when do we got one more hearing?
The public hearing on the strategic plan is scheduled for June 15th, the next council meeting.
So shortly after that, some kind of wheels go into motion, right?
Yes.
And I'm trying to understand how that process is going to work. You know, we've got our utility committee name against a bunch of those tasks, and those, you know, So, when do we sit down as a committee and say, here's how we're gonna tackle this?
It's funny you asked that. I actually gave an update on that at the last department head meeting, so James has already heard this. But so what happens next? What happens next is that when the strategic plan gets approved, whatever gets approved in it, we then will take those action items and KPIs and basically list next to them who's going to be involved in them and who's going to be the lead organization on them, and we'll sort it out. We're going to create a document that will let us sort by both who's involved and by timeline. So we can sort by when we said each one of them should be done, and then who's responsible. So at that point, Tanya and I will start meeting with people about their particular action items and coming up with plans on how to execute them. Business, like individual board or department business plans, if you will. And we'll do regular check-ins with the meetings and everything and start coming up with how we're going to work on those things. We're going to ask for quarterly reports so that we want to update this quarterly for the public. We want to be consistent about updating it quarterly so that people don't have to check back and be like, oh, this got updated this month, this got updated that month, this hasn't been updated in 6 months or a year. So we're going to do, and you'll get reminders from Tanya when it's that time. And we're not talking about like massive paragraphs. We're talking about like in progress, stalled, what's going on here. And so we plan on doing that over the course of the plan. And then we'll start thinking about, once we get that underway, what has to change and what has to be revised for next year's version. So when it goes from the 27 to 29, when it goes to the 28 through 30, what needs to change?
So is it safe to say that this summer, this process you just outlined is probably going to occur too late to influence the capital improvement plan?
Yes. So the things that would come out of this year's strategic plan would likely be things that would be entered into the capital improvements plan next spring. Because the capital improvements committee meets for the first time next week. So they're already underway. We've already submitted the projects for this year. So
What I'm thinking about specifically is we had a energy efficiency study done and there's some of the town buildings, and we've got a list of recommendations. So are we then gonna have to wait until a year from now, basically, to put those projects forward for funding?
let me get an answer for you on that. Let me look into that. Can you make a note on that one? So thank you.
Yeah, we talked about it.
We'll get an answer from you, for you on that one.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Then I'm going to go into our subcommittee discussions.
Real quick on one other thing. So, this Thursday, Hardy, Gordon Homes, that cell section, from 9 PM to 5 AM, there's gonna be a water shut-off. So,
Yes.
just let everybody know.
Yep, we had put that out, again, DPW Facebook page, and that was on the town Facebook page too. Excellent source for that. Yes, there is going to be a water shut off on the 4th overnight
Yep.
in a select area. And there was, again, Hardy, Hubby, and what was it, Hardy?
Hubby, Gordon Homes, that section,
Yep.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
And it's scheduled to be overnight to create the least amount of disruption.
Right.
So it's just Hubby and.
No, that whole section. So what they're doing on Hardy, they're gonna tie it all in, which includes all the way from the old connection where the wells were to Hovey Road, all the way up through Gordon Homes and there, by your place. You'll get it too. You should have noticed too.
Right here.
Connected to the water main
It's
now.
on the website.
That's right too, you're not.
Yeah.
That's right. So, yeah. But it's pretty neat little thing, says, please collect water for your use.
Okay.
I can't see
It's
that.
under the news feed section of the website.
Yeah, there you go. Look at that. That's exactly it.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, those roads.
Okay, very good. Okay, anything else before we get into subcommittees? No? Okay, let's start with our energy. Did you have your meeting beforehand?
We did.
Good.
We did. But we'll talk, so we had a meeting, subcommittee meeting starting at 6 this evening, and just basically one of the same topics that we'll talk about right now. Update on the community aggregation plan. We're entering our third month for the program. Had a phone call with Freedom Energy Logistics last week, just to kind of get an update. We're starting to look at pricing for our next contract, but I asked a question about customer service and what are they getting now for calls into their call center and things like that, and they're going to put together some data for us, so I should have that at our next utilities committee meeting, and if I get it early, I'll send it out.
Okay.
But the number of calls they're saying have just dropped dramatically. So, you know, we're into the program. I haven't received any positive or negative feedback. You know, I wouldn't expect too much positive feedback, and if there was negative, I think we would have all heard about it. So I think as of right now, the program is running, it's running smoothly, and I think, you know, the next steps for the energy subcommittee is to start looking for pricing for our next contract. This particular contract expires at the end of October. Eversource is going in with their requested rates to the PUC next week, week after.
Any week now.
Any week now. And they're going in, looking for their rates for the period of August 1st through January 31st. So it'll be for the next 6-month period for them. We're in a really good position, I think, because our contract is through the end of October. Our aggregation program contract is through the end of October. And so we'll have some time to digest Eversource's rates and start doing some rate shopping on our own. And I think right now, my feeling, I think Paul mirrors my feeling, is we're going to try to see if we can get a longer-term contract for the next round, a year or even perhaps 2 years. We have seen some indicative pricing come through, and the short-term contracts, future contracts for power are high. And a lot of that's attributable just to the current political situation, and the fact that it was a cold winter, and they're recouping some of the costs from the cold winter. But from what we're seeing right now, I think we should be in a good position to sign a year or perhaps even a 2-year long-term contract for our next contract.
And lock into a price.
Lock into a price for a long time. It'll give us give all the customers some price stability, and I just think it's the right thing to do. You know, reading between the lines at Eversource, I think Eversource is going to be in a position for certainly the next 6 months, maybe the next 12 to 18 months, where they're going to have some high rates. And I think we'll be very competitive against the rates that they're going to come through. So I'm very happy with that. Very happy with that.
I am too.
So as soon as we understand Eversource's rates, Paul and I will start watching the open market with Freedom Energy, and I think when we feel it's getting close to signing a contract with Sean Mulholland, we'll go forward at that point in time. But certainly keeping everybody in the loop here in the Utilities Committee.
It sounds good.
But I think it's working as we thought it would, and I mean, it's good.
Yeah, one other comment is if the market is very volatile, we may come to the committee and ask you to approve a range. Okay, so that if we have to lock in a contract within 24 to 48 hours, as long as it's within that range, we would have approval to do so.
Okay, that sounds
But we'll give
reasonable.
you more information as time goes on.
Okay.
Yeah, the way it worked last time generally is we had a rate given to us at 10 o'clock in the morning, and we had to sign the contract that day.
Yeah,
And that's the way it'll be this time around as well. So
right.
Futures is up and down. It's interesting to
Correct.
watch.
Yeah,
Interesting to watch.
yeah.
Solar progress. So I'm going to kind of couch this in a bigger just energy topic. In terms of specific solar, we did have a resident bring up the Auburn Road landfill discussion again, and I know we haven't looked at it in a couple of years, and I said, you know, we'd start opening up that discussion to see what is going on there. I don't think there's been much change with the availability of three-phase power being kind of the biggest roadblock to getting something there. But Paul and I we took a tour of the Amoskeag Dam a couple weeks ago, a month ago maybe now, and came across an organization there called Clean Energy New Hampshire. And Clean Energy New Hampshire, it's a nonprofit statewide organization. Become a member of the organization. They have municipal memberships available, but it's really a nonpartisan organization with expertise in local legislative and regulatory energy policies. And I think, given the complexity of policy at this point in time, I think it makes sense for Londonderry to approach joining an organization like that. A municipal membership, they have a couple levels, but the best level is $500 a year. I mean, it's basically really cheap money.
Best as cheapest or best as most in-depth?
Most services.
Most
Services, okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, and, you know, and they talk about providing expertise in local policy development, energy efficiency project support, renewable energy project support, helping to identify funding sources, analysis of various procurement models, you know, purchase power agreements, other types of models like that, and to help us with public outreach programs too, and that type of thing. I think for $500, it's just money well spent. And I would like to throw that out, and if we, I don't know if a motion is appropriate
It might-
to authorize the energy subcommittee to have a conversation with Sean about spending the money. I don't know if we have to go to
Can
the
I
council for that.
Can we ask a question on,
Sure.
do we know how clean energy is funded? Who funds them?
So they're funded through their membership program. They have business memberships, municipal memberships, private memberships.
Yeah, it would be,
I can give you some
Interesting.
specific,
Check
I'll send
into-
out some specific information,
That'd
and
be
I'll send
great.
it to Martha, and she can send it out to the committee,
Yeah.
just to answer your question.
Yeah, they're pretty easy to look up online.
sure.
Yep.
I think for the money, and, you know, and I applaud the dedication and the talent that the members of this committee bring to the table. But I really think sometimes it really, a lot of these policy decisions, even engineering decisions, when we start talking about, you know, or siting decisions, it's beyond our realm of expertise, and I think then we stop because we don't know how to go forward. And I think joining hands with an organization like this will help us move a lot of these projects forward.
Having a resource like that, I think is a good idea. I think it does deserve a motion, so I'm gonna ask for a motion to have, somebody from the Energy Committee, could be you, Lynn, because you seem to know the most about this, approach, our town manager about, expenditure of $500 for us to join this as a municipality and have that resource to turn to. So I'll ask for that motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Jeff. And, okay, we have a motion by Jeff and a second by John. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye? Is everyone? Okay,
I
that's,
guess I'm not voting because I would like more information on the
Well,
group.
you
but
can,
You
What, pardon me?
abstain if you don't want to vote.
yeah, if you don't,
That's what I
okay.
just said.
Okay, so we have, how many of us are? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
And with Ann here, I don't vote.
You-
By the way, excuse me, I didn't vote either.
Right, you're an
Okay.
alternate. So it'd be 1, 2, 3.
All right,
four.
so
I
everybody,
don't
let's
think
have
it's
a,
anyway.
let's
It'd be
have a
6.
roll call vote.
You got a
Joy?
full quorum, right?
Yeah.
I'm alternate, so I don't get a vote.
Okay.
Yes.
Paul? Ann's abstaining?
Yep.
Yes.
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 I'm an alternate now, with Ann back.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
And then John.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So I should state what we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So Martha, your vote is 6-0 with Ann Fenn abstaining.
Thank you. 6-0 with Ann Fenn
I can
abstaining.
just explain that
Two.
having worked for tons of different public interest groups and environmental groups, national level, state level, that's why I asked who they're funded by and who the members are, because lots of times the names of certain organizations can be deceptive.
I'll get that information too.
Okay.
So is George Soros?
But
No.
I think we have enough for you to go ahead and
Say
pose a
no,
question.
right.
Okay.
Because the Koch brothers funded.
Okay, thank
So,
you.
going along the same line of discussion, so going along the same line of discussion, in terms more specifically of solar opportunity, solar siting, what the policy is at, the state level policy at the national level on solar and renewable energy. I think we're having the same type of stumbling blocks, maybe a little bit more complex when we start talking the different things with solar, when we start talking infrastructure issues and things like that. And our aggregation partner, Freedom Energy Logistics, has an organization in that organization that deals with providing solar consulting services. And right now, I have a phone call scheduled with them for next Friday, or for this coming Friday, to get a better idea on what they do, the services they provide, what their fee structure would be, helping us to move some of these projects forward. I think we're at a point in time where we could use some third-party expertise in looking at these projects. We've talked on and off, I've talked on and off about going out to the suppliers, to the primary suppliers in the state and working with them, but I think they're going to be approaching it from their business perspective, their business model perspective, as opposed to maybe what's best for the town's perspective. And if it makes sense to move forward with a consulting service, we'll talk about that at the next meeting, but right now I'm just gathering some more information, because I think, seat of my pants says it would be benefit to us to have, a disinterested party looking out for the town's best interests, instead of working directly with these people who do this work for a living.
Well, I think it would be interesting to get the information, so I'll let you take charge of that
Okay.
and bring it to the next meeting.
So just let you know that that's happening as well.
Okay.
And that's about all I have for the Energy Subcommittee meeting.
Can I ask a question?
No? Damn it. Yes, Ray. Yes.
Okay, all right, so, a lot of this, wait a minute, I'm not an expert on energy, by the way, but I think a lot of this that we could learn from other towns that are dealing with the same issues we are, meaning either looking to get into solar or have chosen, like Derry, for instance, that, and you folks did go over and view that.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah, I just think we could learn a lot from how many towns that have already put in solar, either on their municipal buildings, schools, and so forth, and how that has worked out for them. So, fine if you want to go to consultants and get their opinion too, that's fine too. But it doesn't cost anything to talk to other towns.
Correct.
So,
So go ahead.
I would say that that's correct, and right now, what we're doing is just investigating to see how much the consulting fees would be to go into.
Yeah, we spoke
a
of one, which would be a small amount of $500, which is not much.
Right, but, and that's more of a resource, that company. New Hampshire Clean Energy is more of a resource for us to go to. Consulting would be looking, actually looking into spots for the town. So I think that we have to investigate how much that will cost. I had a conversation with the guy over in Derry as well, who was very involved in their solar project. I called him because of that gentleman that talked to us about the three-phase power, and so I decided to see if we could get a confirmation on that. And yes, it does require that three-phase power, and that they're more than willing to work with us. The guy was very generous, so he's very willing to work with us, to connect with us, tell us everything that they had to go through. It's a very arduous process to go through these big projects like this. So, obviously, before we jump into it, we're going to be doing that.
Yeah, I think we've had Derry here before, have we not?
Well, we had Derry here a long time ago when
Yes.
it was in
Remember when we had
very
the other committee?
conceptual, yeah,
And-
conceptual.
And so, when you spoke to him recently, what did you learn?
It's not even plugged in yet. It's not even, I mean, it's.
Well, they've
it's
been working on this for years.
Correct,
Years.
correct.
Years.
Correct.
So it would be good,
That's what we're
it'd
trying
be
to
good to have
avoid.
them back
That's
to tell us what happened, right?
Yeah, that's what we're
So-
trying to avoid.
Right.
So, you know, what were the stumbling blocks?
Yeah, so what
that
we
they ran
found
through?
is many of these towns that have successful projects have hired the expertise to do so.
Yep.
And that's the direction Lynn is talking about.
It's worth noting that once we get into New Hampshire energy, Clean Energy New Hampshire, that's our conduit to answer your question, because all of these towns are working with Clean Energy New Hampshire. And we, you know, I mean, it'll be to the point where this is what we're up against. Oh, well, you need to talk to this town for this problem.
Right.
So I think we're gonna do exactly what you have in mind by working with Clean Energy New Hampshire.
And one of the big differences, Ray, between us and Derry,
Yeah.
so the two gentlemen I think you're talking about in Derry were both experts in the field. So they had experience in the solar industry, or they were electrical engineer.
They also had experience with their previous small solar at the DPW that they had
Yeah, but you're not-
used for years.
You're
So,
not, so, no, let me clarify that. So
Yes.
they had the technical expertise. Like I say, I applaud everybody on this committee, but nobody on this committee has expertise in installing a solar array, right? We're not solar engineers, and I think
yeah,
that's where,
and Derry did have that.
yeah, the two people who pushed that project forward were both electrical engineers with experience in the field.
Very good. Thank you.
So that's where I'm trying to figure out ways to get projects going. I don't want to talk anymore about projects. I want projects to happen, right?
Well, you gotta have a site though.
So that's exactly what I'm talking about. I don't want to talk anymore about sites. I want to go find a site and let's make it happen, right? And I think this is a great way to make it happen.
Thank you.
I think it's definitely worth the investigation. So we'll look forward to hearing that at the next meeting.
Cool.
Thank you.
And
Okay.
that's what I have. Anybody else, Paul?
Just the other
Mike?
thing, I talked previously about this app called Solar App Plus, which is a permitting tool to take a load off of our staff and put it onto basically a piece of software. The next step in doing that is to have a Zoom, I attended like a 101 class, but the next step is to have actually a Zoom call with the people that run this and explain what we do here, what they do, and see how much of a matchup there is. So what that involves is, number one, commitment of some staff time, people like James and probably Dave, some of the DPW people. And the question is, well, does the town manager want to, allocate additional staff time to, from this, overworked staff that he's already got? So when Lynn goes to meet with him, one of the things they're going to talk about is see if he has an interest in supporting, investigating Solar App Plus.
Okay. Okay, and what exactly does that piece of software do?
It's a way of getting, it's for homeowners, basically.
Okay.
And you can get on their website and within about 24 hours, have a permit. So obviously you have to collect some information for that, but that's the idea. And instead of having, people over on James's staff going through all this stuff, the permit is complete because the software won't let you do it without providing all the information. And it knows what our zoning ordinance provides for in terms of requirements. It knows where it is, and so it can do all this work. And the really nice thing about it is it's free. It's run by a nonprofit that is just dedicated to providing this application. The fees, I'll anticipate Ann's question, where does the money come from? The money in this case comes from the solar developers, so if the project goes forward, the solar developer pays a fee into Solar App Plus. And they're more than happy to do it, because they've saved days and days of work.
Okay, well, that sounds interesting too. I mean, we've all expressed an interest in solar and trying to expand in that direction, so I think that also sounds positive, so that will be part of your discussion. Great, okay. Anything else for energy? Okay. Well, then we'll move on to water, and some of, I'm gonna let you take water, but before we start, Kirsten has handed out tonight the information that went to residents in Londonderry that are, would be part of the water assessment district. And she's handed out a list of names of people that it's gone to. Do you not have it, Ray?
I don't have.
You do, it's in front of you, Ray.
Right, it's right there.
Oh, where'd that come from?
It was,
Okay, well, it was
been there since 6:50 PM.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
She has requested that we review these names, and if any name on this list is familiar to you, is somebody that you know in town well enough to email or call, speak to tell them, all this is asking for is for them to sign a petition that says that they support the creation of this district that they happen to be in. It does not in any way initiate anything with the town for money or anything like that. It just says that if anybody in your district wants to sign up and get water connected to their home, would you support that? And so I want everybody to take this home and look at these names and see if you know anybody.
So I know a couple of people, but don't I have to put in like a preamble for people who maybe don't understand what this whole thing is about?
So this website right here has all the documents that went out to people with the exception of the petition card. So let me explain. Everybody on this list got a letter mailed to them. That letter had this sample letter in it, which explained why the letter was going to them. So this is on the website again. Now, part of the reason is, I will say, I messed up the dates on the letter. It says the public information sessions were Fridays and Mondays. The dates are right. The days of the week, that's what day of week it was in 2005. So, sorry, 2025. So thanks ChatGPT for organizing that for me poorly. My fault for not checking. But there is one more on Saturday, June 6th. So they can come in and sit down and talk. So everybody got this letter from me. And it has the link to this page, which there's a nice shortcut. It's londonderrynh.gov/WSAD, Water Special Assessment District. So just like we did one for CCA, so we didn't have to have the whole long thing, we put a redirect. So if you type that in londonderrynh.gov/WSAD, you get to this page. So everybody got this letter, and everybody got the FAQs. What is a special assessment district? What would the proposed district do? Am I required to connect to public water? No. And signing this card does not commit you to, or even say you're interested in connecting to public water. If I don't connect to public water, will I be charged anything? No. Does signing the petition mean I'm agreeing to participate? Also, no. This is like, I feel like you can tell a parent wrote this. Denise Manella worked on this. So she did the first draft of this. Why should I participate if I don't plan to participate? Why should I sign? Honestly, to be a good neighbor and help the people in the district, to help your community. How do I apply for funding? What costs would be eligible? What costs are not covered? How much funding could a property owner receive? Would interest be charged? How long would repayment last? How would repayment work? What happens if assessments aren't paid? What happens if I sell my property? Do I have to apply in 2026? Do I have to use the district financing if I connect to public water? And can I sign the petition if I'm not the owner of record? There's a lot of no's on this, like a lot of no's. But the point of that is that signing this petition card only lets this move forward to the council and says they're okay if it forms. Nobody will be charged anything, and actually that's written into the plan. Nobody will be charged anything over the life of the district if they do not sign up for the assessment for the connection. So everybody on this list already got this as well in the mail. I'm not saying they didn't throw it away, but if they'd like to go to the WSAD webpage, all of this is there. There's also the full plan, the full legal approved plan, which is 16 pages of lots of legalese. But if somebody wants to read it all, they're welcome to do that.
Do you have any data on traffic to the WASD?
I haven't looked at it yet,
Okay.
to be honest with you. Exhibit A is the map of the district. It just basically outlines the properties that would be part of the district. And then Exhibit B is the list of properties in the district. So, and it's actually color coded by the project that it's along. So you can see even though 76 Old Nashua Road is on Old Nashua, it's part of the High Range Road project, so.
I was looking.
So these are all the eligible properties in the district. I would ask that for the list that I handed out to you, it does have homeowner names on it, property owner names, which is public information, but also we don't need to be putting it out there in the sense if somebody wants to request it, they're welcome to, but I want to make sure this doesn't end up in easily end up in commercial hands. So for that, if we could also refrain from discussing individual names in public session too. They didn't consent to be, they didn't come forward to be discussed here. So I would ask that we have any of that discussion outside of quorums. Just go ahead, and I don't think it's a bad thing. If 3 of us know somebody on this list and all 3 of us reach out to them, it's just going to be harder to ignore us. So, I think it's okay if they get multiple connections, right? I don't think we need to coordinate or divide. The last thing is we are not recommending going door to door. Okay, that's just not something that we're recommending at this time. I would rather take another 2 weeks on the petition and push it back to the next meeting if we need to, and reach out to people and research phone numbers and use Facebook messages, and let's try and get to people that way. To date, we have 35 cards in, which is just about 18% of the homeowners. We need to get to, I think, either 99 or 100 in terms of number of people signing, and 65% of the assessed value. Letters went out to, I think, 198 people, 198 properties.
How long ago was it?
About a week and a half.
Okay, thank you.
We got a couple trickling in. We're getting near where I think we're going to get the critical mass. Some people is definitely still in the mail because I've had some people tell me they're in the mail. Okay. So we should get more in tomorrow, more in Friday. But if you reach out to somebody and they say we already signed it, awesome. Yeah. Did you talk to your neighbors yet? So this is
You in sales?
this is the 5 minutes of my job where my time in sales actually applies. It never applies to anything I do here except for this. So yes, and
I got 2
right.
quickies for you.
Yeah.
No, it's I contact
Is the
somebody.
check mark?
To me.
I contact somebody and say thank you, and I threw out my card. How can I get another card?
That's a great question. If they throw out their card, that came with a self-addressed stamped envelope, by the way. It was in there with a self-addressed stamped envelope. So there's extra cards in Public Works. We'd be happy to email them one that then they could drop off, or they can just come in and fill it out up in Public Works during normal working hours. I'll go drop one off in their mailbox. It's cool. If they know I'm coming, I'll go to the door. That's cool. We can get them a new card, no problem.
Second question, what if they are multiple property owners? Can they vote a card 3 times, 2 times, whatever they own?
Yes, they can fill out, so they can either put all the addresses on one card, and you'll notice on this list there are some multiple property owners. They can put all the addresses on one card, or they can fill out a separate card for each address, whatever's easier for them.
Okay.
And it does have to be the owner, not the resident. For the most part, we sent them to the mailing addresses that were in the database, but some mailing addresses aren't some people who are like the property owner, they still use that as the mailing address, even though they live somewhere else. So it's going to their tenant.
Yep.
So there was a case of that. I got a letter returned. I was able to find the guy's address. He lives in Derry. He rents a house out in Londonderry, so I was able to turn it around. But we've only gotten that one return to us so far. So yeah, Mike, you had the check marks means we already have it.
Yeah, so we don't bother those people.
Yeah, you don't need to bother those people. You'll notice that there's some committee member, like you're going to recognize, like, you know, former committee member on the Conservation Commission, a member of Beautify Londonderry. We already got those. The first card we opened up, I was like, oh, I used to work with their son. So, you know, it cuts into the people I know, but there's still a lot of people there I think we can get. So,
All right, I just wanted to mention that preliminarily. And
Thank you very much. So on the water committee, we did not have a meeting last month. We're getting into summer mode, maybe a little early. Top of the list, obviously, is the special assessment district. Kirsten gave us a really nice update on it. Everybody's got a little bit of work on that. We're doing a little bit of data collecting. We're going to get some data. Ann's going to get some data on state and national lawsuits that might impact Londonderry and New Hampshire. And we're also getting some information on the quality of water coming out of Pennachuck. So that's incoming. We're looking at making friends with other water committees, Derry, Litchfield, other areas, other places around this area. And also probably, since we have it, the Southern New Hampshire State Water Regional District, just so we, you know, water is, as evidenced by the Old Derry Road project, water is a regional issue, not a local issue. So we want to make sure that we're aware of all the stuff that's going on regionally. And always trying to work on our outreach capabilities. We talked a lot about that last year, and we sort of bounced, this is getting off water, but we bounced around ideas of outreach and doing discussions and putting stuff on the public access. That's still available. I've had to-dos on that basically every month for the last 2 years. But this month I'll start reaching out to people individually. It's like, hey, you know, we talked a little bit about this. Is that something you want to do? And we'll try to get a list of people that want to commit and do maybe a public access thing if something that really speaks to them really is important. Maybe we can do some outreach that way. I'll start making those calls and emails tomorrow. So expect a call or an email from me. But I think that's it. The outreach for the Special Assessment District is obviously the number one most important thing we're doing in water as of right now, so.
Jeff, are we
Yes, ma'am.
talking about our next water meeting on the 20th of June,
It would be,
10 o'clock?
let me look at the calendar. Good question. I always forget that. It
The
is
third? that's the
second,
third.
yeah. So this Saturday would be the 6th. Wait, is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This Saturday's
So the
the
second Saturday would be the 13th. So that's not a holiday, is it?
Flag Day,
Is it?
Sunday, Flag Day.
Well, that's the 14th,
There
though.
you go.
All right, so Saturday, the 13th at 10 o'clock, no, 9 o'clock. Because Ray doesn't have,
Changed it to,
well, we were doing it at 10 because one of our members had early morning work, and we moved it back so everyone can get in, get the meeting over with, and have their time with their family for the weekend.
okay.
So 9 o'clock on the 13th, and the Sunnycrest Room. And I'm gonna try to start maybe on Fridays, Friday afternoons, sending out, like, this is what we're working on in water, so everybody sort of has an updated list of to-dos, or not, maybe not a list of to-dos, but a list of projects that we're working on, so we can all make sure that we're tracking in the same direction. That way we can try to move these things forward a little bit. And I think that's it for water, unless anyone has a question. Ray had a question from Kirsten. Ray had a question about having a permanent water commission. And I guess I'll reach out to you to sort of talk about that and understand what that is involved in that. So we'll at least, I'll be smarter about it, and then we can give some feedback and some logic and reasoning, either pro or con, at the next water meeting. Is that okay, Ray?
Have you reviewed it?
I haven't looked at it. I will look at it. Oh, you were going to send something, Kirsten.
Yeah, I just gave Ray it back. I just got it scanned, so
Okay.
I will send that out. There's some stuff that needs to be looked into regarding when you're forming commissions. Commissions are are usually governed by statute.
Okay.
So, yep, laugh at me. That's fine. I deserve that. I have to let me take a look at that before we get too deep into that.
Yeah.
So,
It's fact finding for now.
yep.
So, if it comes to more statutorily significant activities, we'll talk to the town council and move it up the ladder appropriately. But I'll be smarter for next
Does
next
anybody
one.
have an opinion of that?
I don't have.
You-
Too early
you
for
know
me to
what it
say.
is?
It's too early for me to say. I need to do
Okay.
the research, right? I don't want to speculate and give you bad information just because I don't know. So.
Okay, anything else on water? Okay, then let's move on to sewer and solid waste.
Sewer and solid waste, that's me. About a week ago Saturday, 4 intrepid members of the Sewer and Solid Waste Committee sojourned up to Purpose Energy's facility up in St. Albans, Vermont. Joy Muller, our chair, Lynn Wiles, and myself made that trip with a couple of purposes in mind. One was to learn more about this company's operation. They're proposing a facility here in Londonderry, adjacent to, in conjunction with the second company, Recycle Works, that's somewhat innovative. They're going to take in various liquids, expired soft drinks, alcoholic beverages, perhaps product from Stonyfield's manufacturing facility on the north end of town, and through a process, convert that into methane gas that can then be fed into the Liberty pipeline. So it's sort of a closed-loop recycling operation that's fairly innovative. But with all of that, I think there have been some concerns brought forward by citizens, some concerned citizens in Londonderry about this kind of a plant on the north end of town. So members of Solid Waste, Sewer and Solid Waste Committee decided it'd be a good idea to go do eyes-on as citizens ourselves, non-experts, and take a look at what an operation like this looks like. And the recommendation was the facility up in St. Albans, Vermont, which if you don't know where that is, neither did I. It was about a 400-plus mile round trip. And the feeling is just returning to my backside in the last day or so. So what did we see? We got some pictures. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Joy, for the pictures. If you can see these up here, the material comes into this particular facility in, I would call them medium-sized vans, and it can be any kind of liquid that is a waste product from other manufacturing. They talked about dairies, they talked about yogurt producers, they talked about egg farms. They're all kinds of liquids, and then they're pumped into this building. Next slide, please.
But it's not hazardous waste.
Not hazardous.
Materials. It's
Yeah,
not
this,
toxic.
this is not hazardous material. This is,
Solid waste.
It goes, yeah, it
It's all
goes into a
solid-
digester,
solid
and
waste.
no
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 hazardous materials. As a matter of fact, this particular part of the process filters out the little nasty things that get into these liquids, pieces of plastic, pieces of metal, things that they don't want to go into their digester further downstream.
Gotcha.
Okay?
And they take the waste from Ben and Jerry's too.
Oh, the biggest way. The waste from Ben and Jerry's comes in on a pipeline, direct pipeline.
Right next
into
door.
the facility. Yeah, so it's a little different. And I think there's a hope
makes sense.
being careful not to spill the beans too much here, that a certain yogurt plant located in Londonderry will pipe their waste into this facility too, although that certainly has not been finalized. So this is just a picture. I like this picture because frankly, as we flip through these pictures, this is the dirtiest picture that you'll see. And it's not dirty at all. It's basically filtering out some of the stuff that has to actually end up going to the landfill. And in the grand scope of things, that's an insignificant amount of waste product that goes to the landfill. Next slide, please. The next few slides are technical, and if you know me at all, you'll know that I'm not a technical kind of guy. But in my previous life, I was in the cleaning business. I showed people how to clean everything: operating rooms, butcher shops, industrial plants. And one of the reasons I like this, and a couple of the subsequent slides, is you can see this is a clean facility. Considering what they're handling, okay, this is a remarkably clean facility. Now, if anybody else that was on this tour has technical knowledge they want to throw in, that's great. Feel free. Next slide, please. Another picture. You know what? You can eat off that floor, okay? I would love, as I said to the operator who met with us, I would have loved to have had the piping contract for this building,
Yes.
because everything travels by pipe.
Pipe.
Everything is computerized. He talked about the impact of AI and the fact that he can control his whole operation from his home.
On his phone.
And by the way, 2 employees in this whole facility.
How big is it?
Incredible.
How big is it?
I don't know the square footage, but a little bit of a campus with multiple buildings.
Building's
Okay.
probably about 2,000 square feet. The
Oh,
main,
jeez,
the main
that's
building, maybe? No,
Yeah.
probably like 5,000 square feet.
Are they looking
the
for
main building.
investors? They need investors?
Next slide, please.
They're a big company.
Again, I have no idea what all these pipes
okay.
are doing, but again, you can see a spotlessly clean facility. And I always feel a little bit better myself if a facility is well-kept and clean. I think it speaks to the quality of the operation. Next slide, please. No idea. Okay, no idea. But it does give you a little taste of the complexity of this business in that they have to separate things into different streams. Next slide,
And
please.
going on to your theme here, Don, those are clean out spots there, all those things coming up at an angle.
Yeah,
That's for making it clean, cleaning things out.
thank you, sir.
So they're like traps then, right?
Yeah.
Traps?
Lynn, do you remember what these were?
These are the digesters.
Amen.
Yeah, three of them.
And there are 3 of them, and you can get a sense of the size of these compared to the, I don't know if that's one of us that's walking
That's
down
me.
there. That's you? Okay, well. And if I recall correctly too, these are open to the air on top, and, which I think is interesting, and it speaks to one of the problems that we'll talk about.
Did it smell?
Next slide, please. Go ahead.
We'll get there.
Did it smell?
We'll get there.
Oh,
We'll
sorry.
get there. Next slide, please. And of course, you don't do anything unless you have a picture of the jaunty, intrepid adventurers there, including the guy with the jaunty hat on the far left there. So, all right. So let's talk about what were we were looking, in addition to learning a little bit about the operation and getting a feel for this, we wanted to kind of put a citizen's eye on 5 problems that we felt that we had heard, both in the presentation that was done by the DES here, and you were with me that night, Martha, and in general commentary, even in this group, in this meeting,
And the
there have been
public hearing
concerns
with the
brought up
planning
about
board.
5 separate topics: noise, odors, vermin, traffic, and safety. So putting our eyes on this thing, from a noise point of view, we drove up. This particular facility is in a small industrial park in St. Albans. It's set back a little bit from the road, but not tremendously from the road. And we really could not hear the noise of what they were doing until we were immediately parked. You can see where we're standing right there, adjacent to the building. Noise, I don't think needs to be a concern. And frankly, we even picked up a little bit more noise than normal because they had a pump that was malfunctioning that day, and they had doors open to let in some fresh air. Okay? The noise was not significant. Where this is planned in Londonderry, in a wooded area, I sincerely believe from what we've seen in Vermont, that it's far enough away from the residences that they're not gonna have an issue with noise.
Did they do any tests as to what the decibels were at different times of the day or different times of the week for this particular facility?
Didn't ask the question, but this is a 24/7, 365 operation. So I don't think you'd get a lot of variance in the noise, because what's happening is happening.
Right.
Okay, continue. Their money is constant production. That's how they make money, both here and in the proposed plan in Londonderry.
And I know it's unscientific, Ann, but we were there with no ear protection, and we were just talking in normal conversational tones with no issues whatsoever, anywhere we walked.
It's just, I'm just thinking if that's an issue for people here in Londonderry, it's useful to have those numbers to say what the decibels actually is. You
This,
just don't want to go above 80 decibels.
this plant is a little different than what they're proposing for our town, in that they have the recycling along with this digester that's producing the methane.
Gotcha.
So they envision our plant as being more enclosed, that trucks will come in and pull in and give them their stuff, and so it won't be an open operation. There won't be trucks pulling up like you saw the truck in the first slide that was putting, its waste in there. That's not gonna happen at this one.
You know, it's very interesting. In this plant, the methane that they create feeds an electric generator, which then feeds into the grid. And we walked, the building with the generator is to the rear of the campus here. And as we walked up to the building, you really couldn't hear
Hear a
it.
thing.
But when you open that door, you could absolutely hear that was a loud room. But the building was set up sound-wise to trap that. And that's what we found throughout this facility. And from what we understand, what's being proposed for Londonderry is even more self-enclosed than as Martha said, than what they had up in St. Albans, Vermont.
Yeah.
Okay. Odors. They were absent outside of the buildings. You had to really get up. Maybe that area where they had the open.
Where the trucks unload.
Yeah, where the trucks unload, you, from 10 foot away, you might pick that up. And on a hot summer's day, maybe something right there, but you're not picking up odors from this process. They talked about one instance where a truckload of, their worst experience, because I remember the question you, I think, asked, Ray, about what is the worst thing that could happen. And their worst experience is they had a truckload of egg wash water that came in from Pete and Jerry's organic eggs that came in. And they got a phone call from the Ben and Jerry's plant next door, because I guess if you wash organic eggs, it's a very smelly process. So they had one call in all their time of operation from their next door neighbor. So homes in that surrounding area were further out than the Ben and Jerry's. Ben and Jerry's was one section of woods away from this plant. So odors were not an issue. I also used to be a pest control operator. Right? A man of many talents, none of any use. And so one of the things I noticed is there were no bait stations for rats or mice throughout this facility, because they don't have any, okay? They talked about pests. The only pest they had on site was a possum that kind of broke in through an open door. So they don't have the issue. They had a summertime issue with a delayed pickup of one of those containers we saw where Casella was a little late coming in to pick it up, and they ended up with some critters, some maggots in the trash. But again, that was Casella's issue, and that was during construction of the facility. So, traffic is not an issue. They get about 5 trucks a day on average for this smaller facility. The facility that's envisioned for Londonderry is supposed, from the DES presentation, will get about 15 trucks per day to that facility, which I don't believe will be a significant challenge for them. The other thing that's different, I think, in St. Albans is some of the trucks that come into this facility are owned by like Pete and Jerry's Eggs, or some of the farmers that come in and bring their material in. The trucks that will be coming into Recycle Works are all Recycle Works vehicles, so they will control their traffic. And they've done a couple of things already. I don't know who initiated this, but Wentworth has now been posted as no parking or no overnight parking on that street. So that, eliminate those kinds of traffic problems. So, we couldn't really make a total judgment on traffic based on the comparison, but it didn't look like it would be significant to us. And finally, from a point of view of safety, I don't think I've ever seen a place that had more systems in place to safeguard their operation. Between alarms, between the fact that they can access everything remotely, either themselves, or if they're not on site for some reason, they can have their materials accessed from their headquarters, which I believe is in Salem, New Hampshire. So they have complete access to their systems. Alarms were everywhere. They have. When you have a 24/7 automated system like this, they have a vested interest in keeping everything moving.
Have they had any history of any methane leaks from the facility?
This facility did not.
Okay.
Okay. I
Their
don't know. I
facility.
didn't ask worldwide.
Right.
Has anybody anywhere had an issue? Because I don't know. And I don't think, frankly, that the operator that we were dealing with would have the answer to that question. So that's not something we asked.
Right.
And,
Unless they could answer it just for that particular facility.
this facility that's being proposed here in Londonderry, we just went up for interest's sake. And,
Right,
but,
right.
But they still have to go through a ton of permitting before this thing is, finalized at all. They've, gone through the planning board in preliminary to get their, permission to build on that site, but the DES and everybody else is all over them, and.
Well, they
and-
should be. Methane is explosive.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
if it gets out, leaks into somebody's house, basement, and somebody's standing there with a cigarette, kaboom.
yeah,
So
yeah,
they
well,
should be all over it.
yeah, and as far as I've understand what's been explained, and we don't fully understand it
And
yet
that's why,
either.
well,
but-
that's why landfills, because so many landfills do have methane
Yeah,
leaks. And
right.
that's why you see the pipes all over
Big
it,
vent pipes.
controlling it, right?
right, and this is all gonna be pipes that will go,
Right into,
Do pipes
it
go?
meets Liberty Gas's spec to go into their line, to go down for for use in homes that use natural gas to heat. So that's where this ends up.
Interesting.
All of it?
A lot of questions.
Yeah, on top of that, I have 2 questions, one technical, I'll save for later. So, input, it's always liquid, or is it mix of liquid and solids?
I think, I got the impression that they could handle a certain level of solids, But I think the plant in Londonderry is gonna be a little bit more capable of doing that, because one of the things they've talked to us about is allowing a drop-off for folks that want to have their food
Right.
waste composted,
Okay.
but can't do it themselves. They're going to set up a drop-off spot, and that will be solids.
So part two of that is the export is methane and any material that has to go through Casella to the landfill or the furnace or whatever. So some of it you said goes directly to houses, others go to a tank?
Casella's is basically hauling away stuff that can't be used for anything.
That's what I thought, yes.
Yeah,
Right.
they just get rid of
The sludge.
the sludge. Well, no, I wouldn't even call it sludge. I would call it stuff that shouldn't be in that waste anyways.
Okay.
Okay, that kind of thing, plastic, metal, that
All
kind
right.
of stuff.
And the rest goes to the pipeline. Do they have storage tanks for methane?
I didn't see any methane. It all goes
It's all
into
in
the
use
pipe.
right now. Okay. So then the technical question, how do they monitor, how can I put this?
They must-
Something coming in that might not be right. Say some guy sneaks in 100 gallons of waste oil in a tank, it's supposed to be all full of waste milk. Is there monitors for that?
Tremendous. Everything is tested.
Okay.
There was a lab on site that we actually got to tour
Okay.
a little bit too. So there, and the spec going into the gas line here for Liberty Gas is very tight. If they don't meet the spec, they have to test everything that goes into that pipeline and to meet that spec.
Thank you. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, it's okay.
And he said another byproduct was clean water.
Yeah, they showed us some of that, and they actually had some plantings that they had done with some of that water. And frankly, those plants looked healthier than the
They
ones
look
they
very
didn't
healthy.
do. Okay, I don't know if I'd eat those tomatoes, but,
It's
So-
compost.
Right.
other questions? So what we've done is basically this, not the pictures, but we've kind of boiled this down to a memo that I'll share copies now with you guys in terms of where we ended up. And I think where we've ended up on this is we think that these plants proposed for Wentworth Ave are a win for our town and for our state. And from the point of view of our committee, we are supportive of these plants that are coming to our town. So based on what we saw and our better understanding now of what their process is. Okay? And I'll give you all copies of this, if that's okay. We'll just pass these down and grab one. That's all I've got for today, guys.
John, just a couple of points of clarification. So you mentioned the wastewater. So the St. Albans plant pumps their wastewater into the town of St. Albans wastewater treatment plant.
Okay.
Oh, okay,
And with this facility, it would go into Manchester waste treatment plant.
okay.
And to do that, they have to have a certain set of chemical parameters they have to meet.
Oh,
And they
yeah.
test for that
Oh, it has to meet, right.
constantly. And if it's out of parameter, they can't let the water go downstream.
I'm just curious, because methane is an issue. And two, it goes from 5 trucks a day to 15 trucks a day. Did you guys see the size of those trucks or the roads that those trucks would travel on here in Londonderry? I mean, that's just one sighting issue that people could have concern with is the trucks.
Isn't more trucks the better? That's more methane gas, right? That's not your issue, right?
I don't think you
That's what you're
want
afraid
people
of.
breathing in all the truck
Well, no, it's
diesel. Yeah. It's mostly diesel, so people don't want to breathe that in. But they also may be concerned for safety issues as well as.
Well, there won't be any methane on the trucks, but.
No.
But the trucks, the inbound trucks, as I understand it, the route will be to come in on the highway there, and they would not be allowed to turn back into Londonderry itself from the north. If you know where Stonyfield is?
Yep,
Okay.
been there a number
Yeah.
of times.
That's, and then there, what's the main drag out in front of
Perimeter Road, is
Stonyfield?
that right near the airport.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
basically the airport roads.
Yeah,
there.
they come off the highway Penegill, and then they make that one turn there, which, that road is
Yeah, I'm blanking on the name too.
Which road?
the,
Wentworth?
not Wentworth, but the road that Wentworth goes off
Oh,
of.
yeah.
Can I say something?
Start.
I appreciate that you folks went up and saw this plant.
Yep.
And from what I see and what you said, it is a very well-run plant. It has all kinds of safety things, there's no smell, and it's clean. And, but the plant we're talking about here in Londonderry is somewhat different. I think they said that they're also gonna bring in stuff that is solid that would be in packaging.
That's
Like,
correct.
for instance, from the grocery store.
Yep.
And that packaging is gonna have to be removed, which is that a part of their process. That is going to be sent to either a plant to be burnt, or it's going to a landfill. Correct?
Well, from what I understand, the cartons, if it's carton goods,
Yeah.
will be recycled.
And bottles,
And bottles will be crushed, and the canned goods will be shredded.
they will do that there?
They'll do that all there.
Okay.
Contents of that product will then go through the anaerobic digester and become methane gas. So
Liquid.
it doesn't have, I think there's a fine line. I think you could have a can of chili, right?
Slurry.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good word, thank you,
right.
from what we saw.
And then we're talking about methane gas, which it will produce. The digester will produce methane gas.
Yes.
Now, the methane gas is kind of a sour gas. It has to be cleaned up before it's put into the pipes.
Yep.
Okay? Now, I think you mentioned something about that it would be for residential. I don't believe, I may be wrong, that this will be fed to the power plant after it's been cleaned up and put in their line. Was it Unitil?
Liberty Gas.
Liberty Gas, because they're the supplier. Are they the supplier to the power plant? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, okay. So, and then the methane that is not acceptable, maybe have to flare it off. Did they mention anything about that?
Yeah, they do have a flare off,
Yeah,
yep, they can do
because
that.
up at the power plant, there's also a flare that occasionally runs.
Yep.
Biodigester that I know of in Nashua for the wastewater treatment plant has a generator. So the gas that they have, they run like a diesel engine, only it runs on gas. And they use that to make electricity for their plant. Now, if there's an overabundance, they flare that off. My point is this. This plant that they're proposing sounds like a really good idea. Biodigester, really good idea. There were some concerns about traffic. It seems as though this comes in, what's that, White, I can't even pronounce it, it comes off Route 3, White Kirsty Drive or something. Okay.
Ozark.
Zurich, that's it.
Okay.
Zurich Drive. And then either goes to Perimeter Road or then would go to North, what is it? Drive.
Wentworth.
Wentworth Drive. And which is right next to the power plant, by the way.
I don't know.
And it's also pretty much close to the yogurt plant.
Yes.
Okay. So all of that makes sense. Your impression is that we, on the sewer committee, should give our approval for it. but there are some questions that none of us really know. So myself, I would be, maybe hold back on my approval for this. Or maybe I could just go along the group and approve it, or say with approval. But I think there, you know, this has been brought to the planning, and they've got some approval to move forward with the plant and the property. But they still gotta work on making this financially make sense for them. And they're gonna have to have investors to invest in this. A lot to it. But perhaps it's a good idea. Maybe it's a good idea for the economy. Maybe it's a good idea that it's probably not gonna provide much workers because it's gonna be somewhat automated.
Right.
And you also mentioned that the trucks are going to be owned by them. Is that the case?
By Recycle Works, yes.
All of the trucks are going to be owned by them?
That's what we were told in the DES meeting.
Okay, because what I heard is if there was a problem and they turned right rather than left, they're gonna monitor those trucks and they're gonna find out, they're gonna say, hey, that guy's gone.
I think they meant he would be fired.
Right.
Because he'd be an employee
But
of
you-
theirs.
Yeah, right. Okay, I got no more to say.
Is there an interest or a need to listen to more of the community folks? Does everybody here, I mean, I don't feel that I've heard from those folks who have presented their issues maybe to the planning board.
Well, the
But
real
there-
question is, does the town need something from this committee on this project?
They
No.
may, but I
No, no,
guess are
that's-
we
I-
prepared to
I-
do that?
Does the question is, does the town need something from this committee as part of the approval process?
No.
Not as part of
Don't
the
think so.
approval process.
We're not on the design review.
No.
No, and I
Okay.
personally, I don't think we should put our foot into it. I mean, we can have an opinion about it,
Yeah,
but
I
to
mean,
say our group
Rubber
approves
stamp it,
this.
right.
yeah, I guess I agree with that. I think that we went because we were interested in what does this do? And we went to meetings where we heard the concerns and we thought that maybe it might be good to take a look and see. And I love a learning experience.
I do too.
So that's
But in fact, it is somewhat different operation than what they are
absolutely,
anticipating.
it is.
It is, yeah, what they're anticipating here, I think, is a bigger project, and it's a different project.
It's somewhat different, and it still has to go through so much
Oh, yes.
before it even comes to any kind of fruition. It's right now, you know, I would say it's a ways off.
And you know what, I think one of the perhaps responsibilities of this committee is to educate where we can. And there aren't many people that are gonna be in a position to do a round trip up to St. Albans, Vermont, to get eyes on. And frankly, if I had gotten up to this plant and seen something that was less clean, that was noisy, that was smelly, that was perhaps something that looked like a potentially bad neighbor.
Yeah.
If you're here on Londonderry, we'd be talking about that. But I think, because we've circulated this memo now a couple times, I think all four folks that went up there were pretty well convinced that this is an operation that we could support, and we had some positive feedback that we could give to people that were concerned about some of the things that came up in the DES meeting, and that they did hold a meeting here that was very long, actually. Couple of presentations on all the details on these plants. And there's also been not only planning board, but I think that these folks have been to town council too. So it's not like there hasn't been some opportunity to voice concerns out there.
Yeah, it's just a question as to whether or not this group should actually step out and say yay or nay to this particular project in our town.
Maybe this might help. Ron, does the council need a report, a recommendation, or this is already too far down the road? What do you feel?
The council doesn't need a report, but we rely on this committee a lot for your advice and your opinion.
Okay.
So I think a lot of things this committee does is very vital to a decision that we may make. So it's not required. It may be appreciated or may be welcomed, but it's not required.
Okay.
That answers your question.
Thank you.
And if you'd want some opinion, you can
Yeah.
talk to those who were
Yeah.
actually on the road trip and
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
At the DES meeting, were there discussions about the variety of different potential environmental impacts? Was there discussion about different scenarios with the trucks, with the piping of methane gas from the facility to the location where it's going? I'm just wondering whether there was
There
any
didn't
kind
seem,
of
and to cut you off, I'm
comprehensive-
sorry, but there didn't seem to be a lot of discussion or concern about piping of methane gas. I think gas is piped underground
It has,
throughout
but-
the region, okay?
Right,
But there were,
there are explosions. Do you hear about people's houses going up because of gas explosions? That's not unusual. That's
Liberty
why I'm bringing
Utilities
it
is a
up.
regulated utility. And they have a whole bunch of regulated safety measures.
Right.
They need to follow to transport gas.
Yeah.
So you look to those regulations for all the safety factors.
And you hope
I
people
would-
follow those regs.
If I were you and you have an interest in this, the meeting that was held here was a DES meeting. It wasn't a town meeting, it was DES. So if you go to their, website or you call them, they would tell you everything that happened at that meeting.
Maybe I could watch it.
That you might be able to watch it. I'm not sure that they record it, but yes, it was, that they were here for their purpose.
Yeah.
And the only thing that, everything that happened beforehand was just as a kindness to the townspeople, that if they wanted to ask questions, they could ask questions of the applicant or the two applicants or DES. And, it wasn't, I wouldn't say that meeting was super crowded, would you?
it was
No.
not, but I tell you, the most interesting part of that meeting was the opportunity given to some of the folks that were there that had concerns. And again, I didn't hear anything about gas, but there were some traffic questions, which is where we learned about who owned the trucks, et cetera. But being able to ask directly the two principals.
Yeah.
Okay, from the two
Companies.
different businesses.
Yeah.
And putting them on the spot on some of these questions. And they were very direct in their answers.
Very direct.
And I thought most of the people, certainly at the DES meeting, left the room satisfied that their concerns had
Yeah.
been addressed.
I did too.
I believe
And they were very familiar with these kinds of operations. This wasn't something that was really that new to them.
I believe I was at that meeting, but I don't recall. Did you get the impression that New Hampshire DES gave their approval?
What I got the impression was that was just a very small piece of what these people have to go through. That was like a preliminary piece, but it wasn't like, it
wasn't
seemed to me
approval.
like
It wasn't
it wasn't a full approval by any means, no.
Yeah.
I'm just suggesting it might be a little early, since it seems like this whole process is at a preliminary level, right? Isn't it?
They've
It's
got a long
pretty-
ways to go.
They have a long ways to go. The only thing that's happened here in town
Right.
was the planning board.
Right.
you know, so that they were presenting stuff to the planning board. And the planning board is the only board that really has
Dug into this.
input from the town to these applicants. And they've gone through that process with the planning board.
So we have plenty of time. If the Utilities Committee wanted to weigh in, there's plenty of time for that.
I think the concern we can do that. But I think the concern is that there are some folks that are worried. And now we've had 4 citizens go up and put eyes on this plan without, I don't think any of us had any preconceptions about one way or the other here. And then come back and give you an honest response on what we heard very clearly were the 5 big issues that folks seem to put out there.
Right.
And I think whether it's just this, the memo with the names of the 4 of us on it or whatever, we should make this available, maybe via Ron, to the town council so that they know that 4 people that saw this, even if we're not going to do this as a committee, 4 individuals that saw this felt that we could support this going forward at this point.
I'm just wondering that if we all, or a few of us, went out to visit, and I know you guys may not like this analogy, if we went up to visit Saint-Gobain's facility in Vermont, 20 years ago, would we know exactly what we were looking at or know exactly what the potential environmental impacts of the facility were if it were to come down here and build its facility in Merrimack, New Hampshire, which it did? And I guess, and which it's now gone because of the environmental impacts of that facility. And I guess I'm just thinking, do we really want to step into this that early? We don't know everything about this facility. And that's not to say that your observations weren't, right on, terrific observations. I just think maybe we should be cautious in our approvals.
Right, I don't think that this committee, and I think Paul brought it up exactly, we're not gonna weigh in on this at all. This is just for sort of our curiosity and our information, and anybody that wants to ask us anything that they can ask us.
The
But
4 of you
we're
went
not
saw it.
going to, it's not our job. It's not our job.
Yeah, we're
I-
not necessarily
We're
approving it.
not
but-
experts.
Yeah, we're not experts and we're not
No,
approving it.
and we don't know, and we saw one of their plants, they have plants all over the country. They have plants all over the country, they seem to be operating, they seem to be doing a good business, they seem to be expanding their business. We kind of like the idea of it because
Yep.
it is sort of renewable energy. And so that is our only position on this. I don't think that, and I don't think we have to belabor this point any longer tonight. I think that, that's my opinion about it.
So
And
what's the upshot? That the 4 folks who went can give their opinions or thoughts. I'm just concerned about is that the upshot? That you guys, the 4 who went visit the facility, would be glad to answer questions
Absolutely.
to people in the community about that particular facility?
If they wanted to, yes.
One possible middle way here would be if you provide, I could see, especially responding to Ron's opinion that, they want to know what we're thinking. Provide this memorandum to the council and then delete the judgment call in the very last paragraph, where it says, in our opinion, this is a win for New Hampshire. It probably is, but, in order to not complain or not claim any more expertise than we have, just say, look, we went, we looked, we saw,
Yep.
we reported, and this is
Exactly.
what we saw. and I realize that means, I don't know how far along you are in the coordination of that memo, but, I mean, what, I would have no problem moving that, to have the full committee endorse your memorandum and recommend it to provide it to the council for their information. And then, but I would just leave off that last judgmental sentence. That,
Yeah, that-
You wanna
that
wrap
seems-
this up and, go ahead.
That seems reasonable to me, and I think that we can work on this memo and we can get it into shape that would be fine.
Well, I think I heard a motion to basically strike the last paragraph.
The
And then
summary opinion?
and submit the.
I said I'd be willing to make such a motion if there's support for it. But I think the last sentence, not the whole last paragraph, there's, you know, good information in that in that summary.
Okay, the last sentence.
Yeah.
Okay. To strike that and then submit the memo to the Iran, to the town council for their consideration.
Right.
Can I suggest also provide, well, I guess you have to vote on this motion first, but I would go with your suggestion, Martha, to table this, look at the memo in more detail, look at the language in here in more detail, and then maybe present it next month.
I think that's fair. There's no rush on this. I think that's fair. So that's what, I think that we can work on this and get it into shape, and we'll do that and take it up at the next meeting. Okay. I want to move on to cable and internet. Oops.
Real short. So, made some progress on fixing different things within the town. Made some regression on other things in the town breaking. So what I'm hoping to do is get a formal meeting between myself and the Comcast network engineer. We've got to have a better way. Also, I want to come up with a better way. In the contract, if I remember right, if 3 people in the same street file a problem, they have to respond within 2 hours, but I'd rather have them, what I'm going to ask them for is a special number, because there's a pattern going on, okay? It's still 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, it's just not working. So, but it's
And-
different in different parts of the town. It is definitely different.
Yeah.
So that's my next step. It's,
And what about the,
I'm working on it.
You're working on that, okay,
This
okay.
other stuff is.
All right, all right.
So what I'm afraid of is, I'm afraid of posting something before we get these things fixed.
yeah, I
Okay?
don't want to post anything until you bring it to us and we
Well,
just
no,
look at
what
it.
I'm saying, you're gonna look at it, but I don't want you to even look at it until we get these other things fixed.
Okay,
Okay? I wanna have a method, so when we do post it, they understand, how to get support quickly,
okay.
right? But I also want them to track where the outages are in the town, cause there seems to be a pattern. And the pattern is, I'll tell you those right now. Old build, 1983, versus anything after 1996, approximately that time. So, they don't like to do an overbuild. When they put stuff up, they leave it up. When they only replace when they absolutely have to.
They still have stuff from '93 in the ground?
In the ground, oh, I don't like to touch the ground stuff, but, yeah.
Wow.
Remember, to take and pull that stuff and replace
That's a
it
good
with
point.
fiber is quite expensive.
Yeah,
and
that's a really
time-consuming.
good point. I hadn't thought of that.
But I don't care. Look, they're supposed to be giving us service. People are buying, not cable TV packages. They're buying streaming they're buying internet for streaming services. And then a lot of them just are not working. So,
Yeah.
okay, that's pretty
Okay.
short.
All right. Okay, so now I'm gonna go to roundtable and see if anybody else has anything to add to what we've discussed tonight. John?
I'm all set.
Good.
John? Ray? Mike?
Quick question, James. There are 2 different clean diesel programs, grant programs that have been on offer for several years now. I know one of them's funded from the Volkswagen settlement, and I'm not sure the other one is a more traditional grant program. But I'm just wondering, is Is the town looked at those opportunities and said no, or, you know?
I feel like I heard this once already, but I have not looked into it. Let me make a note to myself to look into what the opportunity might even be to begin with and see if it's even something that we'd entertain engaging in. I'm not aware of either, so it's a new world for me in the municipal services end of things.
Yeah, and I don't even know if it's, your department or whatever, but I was thinking it must be close to that. We got a lot of diesels in the DPW.
Yeah, I really feel like I heard this just recently, but I before I could even begin to speak on it, I need to get educated on what it
Would
is
it
at
be
all.
worth checking, do you think?
Yeah, everything's worth checking for sure.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. Lynn?
All set.
Jeff?
Nothing.
All set.
John?
All set.
Ann?
All set?
Paul?
Good.
Joy? Okay. All right.
She's definitely all set.
Yeah, she's really quiet the last half of the
Yeah,
meeting.
she,
Okay, our next meeting is the first Tuesday of July. I gotta see what that is.
So I gather the agenda's wrong, right?
Yeah, the
It's just
agenda's
a
wrong.
Right.
Sorry.
I
I did
think
the
it's
same
the
thing that
7th.
Kirsten did. Yeah,
July 7th?
July 7th.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Okay, Mike? Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Opposed?
Chair votes in the affirmative.
Chair votes in the affirmative. This is a scary position.
Everyone's watching.
I'll get there. Okay, we're adjourned.